Bum Podcast.
Bum Podcast.
Between you and me.
Between you and me.
So today we're going to be talking about a topic that I guess you and I have kicked it around before, and I've kicked it around with a couple more people, and I got some real life accounts that I'm going to share. I'm going to change the names to protect the innocent, but I'm going to put them on blast. But the topic that we're going to talk about today, and I guess we should try to make this applicable to life, I guess, applicable across the board, because my scenarios don't really apply across the board. But at the end of the day, I hope we can make it apply across the board.
We can take it somewhere because, I'm cooking over here. So
all right. So the title we're going to talk about today is "Help Me Help You."
Help me help you.
Help me help you. So when I say "help me help you," what comes to mind?
That could go so many different places, but really, so the first thing that comes to mind is, none of us can make it in this life alone. We all need some help.
Entire of himself,
right? Oh, I can use the quote I just got. The African proverb.
Okay.
If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go in a group.
There you go.
Right. So we all need help, basically, at the end of the day. But a lot of people just don't know how to go about getting help. First, a lot of people don't understand that they need help. Second, a lot of people don't understand how to go about getting help and building relationships that are actually helpful. And when it comes to that, I'm a big believer in, symbiotic relationships.
Symbiotic relationships. I love it. Yes.
Right. So, and one thing that I have is, which you've told me in the past, and we could go a lot of different places with this. But you told me in the past is, for one, help me help you. But for another way is, if you need some help, don't just go to people to ask for something.
Yeah. That was, I think it was a Warren Buffett quote. If you want money, ask for advice. If you want advice, ask for money. Is that the one you're talking about?
That's not what I was talking about, but that's a great quote as well.
Oh, okay. All right.
But I'm just thinking of scenarios of people asking me for things.
Okay.
And what I always want to tell people in those situations is, don't just come up and ask me for something. You don't know me, I don't know you.
Yeah.
Let's start building a relationship and see how we can help each other. So I think that was the first thought that came to mind.
Don't let the first time you ask for something. No, don't let the first time you talk to somebody
be to ask for something. That's what you used to tell me.
Yeah.
Keep up with your relationships. Make sure you're checking in and you're taking care of your relationships, so that you don't have to just reach out of the blue to ask people for something.
Right.
Because nobody really likes getting contacted like that.
No. And yeah, shameless plug, man. I get hit up by so many, I guess, people who want me to do recommendations. First of all, I don't like doing recommendations. So I'm just putting that out there for the GD section. I don't like doing recommendations. I don't like putting my name on the line for people who I can't guarantee what the outcome's going to be. And so if you are a person who likes getting recommendations, look, be able to be spoken highly about and live up to what people say about you. Because it's bad when I guess I get put on the spot by somebody who's asking me for a recommendation, and you want to see them do well. You know what I'm saying? But at the same token, it's like, man, I really don't want to put my name out there because I ain't so sure you're going to toe the rope.
Right. It's hard when they haven't shown you the qualities necessary for you to just feel comfortable being like, okay, yeah, this is a person, definitely.
Right.
When it's like, yeah, you pretty cool, so I guess I can kind of say something, try to make something work for you. It almost feels like this almost awkward, weird position to be in.
I ain't gonna call no name, but I'm just gonna tell you, I had a scenario where somebody called me asking me to help them to come up with something creative to say about somebody that was doing a recommendation for, because they didn't want to lie, but they didn't want to really hurt their chances. And that's a real bad position to be put in. That's a real bad position to put in. And I actually told him at the end of the day, you just need to call that person and tell them you ain't gonna do it because they ain't got a good track record. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's bad, man. Help me help you. Help me help you. That's applicable to help me help you. Like put yourself in a position where I can actually help you. Don't act the fool and then come to me and try to get me to cover up your foolishness.
Mm.
That was a bar. That was a bar note.
I was.
You can write a song about
it. Whatever.
Yeah.
But yes, I agree. I agree.
And so, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Okay. So, when I first started this whole help me help you, because I deal with a lot of college students, right? And they want help. Some of the ones that I've encountered, they say they want help, but they don't want to put themselves in a position to be helped, right? And so, one of the scenarios I wanted to bring up is a situation that just happened recently. I mean, they ain't gonna listen to the podcast, but I'm not gonna put them on blast. But I was talking to a group of students, and it was 9 of them, and of the 9 that I talked to, 2 and a possible were serious. 2 and a possible were serious, and the problem with it is, I actually chose to speak to that group because I felt like it would be a group that is away from the mainstream. It is a group that I don't think a lot of people would want to speak to.
Mm-hmm. Almost like underserved.
Like underserved. It would like they wouldn't take the time to go talk to them. Right. And so which is the main reason. Terrible. That's right. It's always terrible because you put yourself out there and say, okay, you know what? I know everybody ain't helping them out, so I'm gonna go and help them out. And then you get there
and they show you why nobody wants to help them.
And they show you why nobody want to help them. It's like, help me help you, bruh. Like, show up. And you know, and like I mentioned to you, I asked one of the students their name, right? And they gave me their first name. And I said, okay, and your last name? And they repeated their first name. And I'm like, so where are you from? And they said the state they were from. I said, and where in that state? And they repeated the state they're from. And so my thing is, at that point, you let me know that you don't want help. Now, you need help, but you don't want help. And so at what point do you think you're going to get to a place where somebody's going to be willing to do something to help you when you don't even want to step out? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that kind of touched the nerve with me. The other thing is, and I say this all the time, everything's an interview. Everything's an interview. And so if you don't show yourself humble enough, if you're not a willing vessel, right? People can tell. And they're interviewing you. And not only are they realizing that they're not going to help you, now they're going to do like what I'm doing right now and say, well, I'm going to put you on blast so people will know that you ain't even worthy to get help. Now, it's just so happened I'm not going to put them on blast like that. I'm just talking about the scenario. But people will really say, hey, you know what? Don't go over there. Ain't no need to go over there because they ain't going to do nothing. You know what I'm saying? And that's sad. That's bad. Go ahead.
And that brings me back to the story that you used to tell me when you were younger about back when you were working at Kmart and the people were coming in bringing in their applications and all that.
Oh, no, that was Lowe's.
That was Lowe's? That was Lowe's. You want to tell that story or do you want me to?
No, you can tell it. Go ahead.
All right, so from what I remember, just being younger, and the way that you would tell the story is, was a conversation about purpose, really, right? And finding the thing that upsets you, finding that thing that you know
hurts you. Yes,
that hurts you, and that's the problem that you're meant to solve.
Right, that's it. Let's put that out there in quotations. Yeah, the thing that hurts you is the thing you were created to solve. That's how you find your purpose. Go ahead.
Dang. That might have been a word. I might need to hear that for a second.
Let it salivate.
Let me write that down, and I'm gonna go back to that after the podcast. But you spoke on how the job was interviewing people for positions, and you would see people coming in, but was it like specific, like two specific people that came in, or you would just see these type of people coming in?
I'd see them come in often.
Okay.
Often, yes.
And really, it was just people that were coming in that they weren't really, I guess, equipped to know how to handle those situations. They
Right.
came in, they weren't dressed properly. They didn't have the right demeanor. They didn't have their stuff filled out the right way, or all these different things. And they would come in, and of course, people, they smile in your face. But then when they turn around and they leave out, the application goes straight into the trash can.
Straight in the trash can.
Right.
Trash can.
Don't even get a chance. And so, and it's funny how life goes, because that caused you to have your moment of somebody should help them.
Right.
And that the voice tells you that person is you.
So now you mixed up two stories, but
Okay.
it makes sense. No,
All right.
no, you're good. You're good. Because that's where you got the Kmart from. Because when that voice came to me, it was the same type of scenario, yes, but it was over two different organizations. And yes, the voice at Kmart came and said, yes, you.
Right. And which even makes it like, it makes it easy, I would say, at least for me to understand why a situation like the one you talked about before, when you're going out of your way to try to help these people that are underserved, why that would frustrate you so much.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I stepped out of my life onto this path because I want to help people just like you.
Just like you.
But I need you to do the work too.
There you go.
I can't do all the work for you.
Yes. Help me help you. Show up.
And so, I guess speaking on that, right? Talking about those frustrating situations, what would you say is, and I'll see if I can think of some things as well, which I probably will be able to once the ball gets rolling. But what are ways that you think you can help somebody help you? What can you do to set yourself in the best position to, go and get that help that you might need, or even help that you're not sure that you need, but you're open to receiving those things? Do you have anything that stands out for you?
What? Say that again.
So, say I'm a person that I'm where I am now, and that's not where I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to get all the way over here. I'm not exactly sure how to get there. I know I need help.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I know that I need help, what do I start doing to prepare myself to be somebody that can receive the help that I know I need to look for?
Become a sponge.
A sponge.
Become a sponge. Like, become a sponge. That'd be the first thing. The second thing is, I'm gonna go back to what we talked about last week when we talked about chewing up the fish and spitting out the bones.
Mm-hmm.
And you said you learned to chew on the left side of your mouth, chew on the right side of your mouth.
Right. Really,
you know what
chew.
I'm saying? Because well, okay, yeah, those are two things. Let me give you a precursor to both of those. Accept the fact that you don't know everything.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Okay.
Accept the fact that you don't know everything. Because boy, I got a whole bunch of them. Put yourself on the table, and I don't want to say yourself. Put your situation on the table and step back and leave it unattached.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So let me see if I can tie all those together. So here's the thing: you know you need help, and so you can't get defensive when somebody else sees that you need help. And that's the funny thing. Like, you don't, like, for me, like, say, for instance, if I know I'm falling short in a situation, I'm trying to get help, I can't afford to try to get arrogant or bigoted when there's somebody who's bringing the message that I need to help me, because it doesn't help. Like, the problem is people don't think that people see them. Like, I see you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I see your deficiency.
And
it ain't like you can hide. Go ahead.
And I think it's even slightly different from that. I think that what it is, well, for one, it's ego.
It is.
I think people fear the possibility that people can see them for who they really are, because we all trying to put a face on.
But that's why I said what I said. Because that's what hit me. I see you. That's the thing. People can see it. I don't care if you think they can't. People can see it. Mm-hmm. And if they choose to come and help you, it's because they see it. Oh my God! I got so many. Go ahead.
He said, "I got stories,
Man, look,
situations."
man, I've been dealing with that this week. I've been dealing with that this week. It's funny. It's funny. Was I giving you? I was tying my bow together. You was going to say something.
Well, I can go off that too. Which, wow, I wish I was better prepared to speak on on this guy. But I was watching a podcast earlier in the week, and what's the dude's name? I don't know how to pronounce his name, but it's like Tom Bailu. But basically, he was talking about his story of he was the kid that he thought he was good at what he did. That he was that he was in the best situation. He had the talent that it would take to be successful, and what he wanted to do was create films.
Okay.
And so he went to film school, and he got into the film school that he wanted to go to, and he went through film school, and he was excelling in film school. But what happened was after he graduated, he got out, and he felt like, wow, I actually don't know how to get to where I want to get to. I feel like I don't have the abilities to get there. And he talked about how that made him feel. It put him in a really dark place for a few years. And so I almost saw that as the first step that it was a little intense, but the removing of the ego of is not just you don't want to spend so much time on I don't know how to get there. He realized I need help getting there. The other thing that he said that he realized is he needed to develop skills and abilities to get there. And he learned that, I can continue to grow every day. And so his new thing became seeking power. I think he said he had an email or a website titled Seeking Power. And that just meant he was, like you said, becoming a sponge. He was seeking to gain all this information. He was seeking to grow in whatever way he can. And he was saying what he found was as you're seeking to grow and you're becoming a sponge, it's crazy how far you can go. Because first, you learn your first thing is how to use a hammer, right? And then you learn how to use a hammer to hammer in a nail. Next thing you know, now you're building a skyscraper with that hammer, because these skills and these abilities and these things that you work on begin to stack.
Oh my God. Okay, you preaching. Go ahead.
And that was a word to me as well, because a lot of times it seems like, right, the things that we want might not be right next to us. It might not be something you could just reach out and touch right now. But if you put yourself in a position where you remove your ego, realize, okay, this is where I am, this is where I want to be. I might not have everything that it takes to be there right now. That's the first step. The next step is realizing, but I can. I can do what it takes to get there, and just opening yourself up and allowing yourself to gain as much knowledge as you can. Work on your abilities, and really that kind of talks about the difference between talent and hard work. And hard work beats talent every day of the week.
Every day of the week. So I got a word for what you just said. Not a word as in one singular word, but every action is a lesson. You know what I'm saying? And that's the
I
killer
quote for
part.
that too.
Oh, you do? All right. Because that's the killer part, because people tend to not want to get involved in some things or actively participate in some things because they don't see the value in it. They sit through it, but they don't garner anything from it because they don't see the value in it, which is what I was faced with this group of students I was talking about. They sat through it, but they were on their phones, they was on their computers, and I'm like, y'all don't realize what y'all missed, because, and again, the message that I was giving them may not have been for them entirely, but I'm pretty sure that there's a nugget somewhere.
Right.
Go ahead.
And that's truly the thing. There's always something to be learned. Kind of what I was talking about last week with how I learned you really have to chew. Like
Hmm.
you really have to, when you're trying to soak in information, really like you can learn from anywhere, from any situation. It just takes reframing your mindset. Um, which what I like to say, which I don't know where this came from. I can't remember. But what would it say? A fool believes that they can't learn from a wise person, but a wise person knows that they can learn from even a fool.
That's a bar.
And so really like you can gain information and you can grow every day and learn in all these new ways to stretch yourself as long as you realize one, I don't know everything,
Yeah, don't do everything.
and two, that knowledge, those abilities can come from anywhere if you open yourself up and you have the right intention for what you're trying to do.
And that's, I mean, we should really be trying to gain as much access to knowledge as humanly possible,
Mm-hmm.
with the understanding that we're not going to use it all.
Right.
But it's better to have had it, or
And
to
not
have
needed.
had access to it, or to have exposure to it and not need it, than to have shut off the opportunity because we weren't prepared for it.
Mm-hmm. And I think, yeah, a lot of that can come down to ego. Really, ego will close so many doors. I shoot, and I learned that from from a variety of different situations. But I was talking to a friend from school a few weeks ago, and shoot, I learned. Yeah, I'll talk about him, but he was talking about how he was growing in his business that he was running, and the way that he would grow, and the reason that he's grown so much is in his free time. He's on social media, and he's just reaching out to people that do what he wants to do and
Mm-hmm.
that are farther along in the process than he is, and just trying to create relationship with them. And in his free time, he sits around. He's like, "Oh, I see what this person's doing. I'm just gonna DM them real quick. Yo, I see what you're doing. Yada yada yada." Start building a relationship, and now he has a bunch of people that are in places where he wants to be, that he's created relationships with, that he can get information from these people on how they got there. They can share their stories. Now, these steps that he didn't know what it took to get there, they're starting to become more clear, more actionable, because he realized, yo, I don't know everything. Let me go talk to the people that know what I want to know.
It's funny. Funny strange, not funny, haha. Funny strange. I one of the things that I again, after when I talk to students, and um particularly in the area of recommendations, or in the area of job searching, right?
Mm-hmm.
And again, if you go back to what I said about, don't let the first time you speak to somebody be to ask for something. I was sharing, or I often share, in order to get a good job, you need to know somebody, right? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that's a given. I mean, there are some people that get jobs cold off the street. Yes, there are, but I'm telling you, if you know somebody, it makes it so much easier. And so my suggestion to them was to go to LinkedIn. Really, I'm like, go to LinkedIn, because there are a lot of professionals on LinkedIn. Know the area, know the field you want to go into, or the company that you want to work for, the top 5 companies you want to work for. Go to LinkedIn and connect with people. And at this point, especially if you're not looking for a job right now, right?
Right.
But connect with people and then ask the question. Like, I got a question for you. What does an ideal candidate look like coming to your company? Or what does the most successful person in your company look like? And what you're doing is now you're garnering information to help you develop your own self-paced study on getting the job you want. But you're also building relationship with somebody who may sometime down the line be able to help you get that job.
Right. So, yeah, relationship matters.
A lot.
Relationship matters. mentorship matters.
It does. I
And
wish my son would take advice from that. Oh, I'm
whatever.
sorry, you on the phone, ain't you? Yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
Whatever.
But we never too young or too old to have mentors, to gain mentors, and also to be mentors.
Right.
Pay it
Right.
forward. You
Right.
know, the things that you learn, share with other people as well. And that in itself will help you grow. And that
Absolutely.
helps you build more connections. And now we can all uplift each other together.
And have different kinds of mentors.
Right.
I mean, you don't have to have just one.
And even, you know, even just speaking on that with the whole help me, help you, help others as well. Just really remove, like, I think, who, I was talking to, an older guy earlier this week, retired from the military. He had just come back from 20 years overseas in Europe. And he was talking about how he loved like his experiences in Europe so much, and the people and the communities, and how everybody's more laid back and they're more just friendly and loving amongst each other. And so what I was asking him was, so would you say everything's more are things more centered on community, I guess, in Europe? Is that's what you find that you like about it? And he was saying, yeah, for sure. And I think, which I can't speak on Europe, but I can definitely speak on here in the States, in America, there's really this big push on the individual as far as I do things for me. This is for me. I'm going to get what I want. I want to fulfill my needs, my wants, my goals, when really we should be focusing on creating community. And building each other up. And I think that can come down to ego as well. Because if you can remove your ego to learn things to get you to where you want to go, you can also remove your ego enough to help other people get to where they want to go as well. And you'll find that that'll help you move forward even farther, even faster.
And it's funny because I know I've told you this more than once. Zig Ziglar, I mean, somebody that I used to listen to incessantly. One of his biggest things was you can get everything in life that you want if you just help enough other people get what they want.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so, I mean, that speaks volumes. And it's not even about doing it because you want to get something in return, but you in yourself are building up a skill. This is going to talk about something else. You in yourself are building up a skill to make you better while you're giving what you have away. And it reminds me of when you were talking about what you were doing with the students. Teaching them DJing and teaching them production, and that came. If you want, you want to tell that story, but how you had to get better. Go ahead.
So over the last summer, I spent time teaching some DJing, music production, and piano to elementary school students. And what I found from that situation, because really I was kind of just, it's not like I had a curriculum to teach. It's not like everything was structured out. It was basically, I had a situation or situations where I could take the things that I had learned throughout my years of working in music and being a musician. And I just had the opportunity to share that with younger people that were kind of on the outside of that world looking in. And what I quickly learned was, I don't even know how to teach these people, right? I don't even know how to teach these kids because I had almost gotten to a place where I was so far removed from what it was like to be at the beginning and to not know anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really had to like take a step back and almost, and I just had matter of fact, I want to touch on that as well, but I had to learn how to express that information that I had, that knowledge that I had, in a way that they could understand it. And when I was able to, I guess, take off the airs and really just step down to their level and try to understand things the way that they understood, I found that it actually caused me to improve so much, and it caused me to really start understanding the processes because I had to break it down in a way that I could explain it to them, in
Right.
a way to make it repeatable for them. And with that, I developed new ways to make my process repeatable for myself. And I think I improved greatly just from that.
Yep. You get everything in life you want. If you just help other folk get what they want. Go ahead.
Which I gotta find it. I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and basically he was just, what did he ask me? Basically, so he was working on basically figuring out a way to communicate with the people around him better.
Hmm.
And he was getting so caught up in, but I don't want people to I don't want them to misinterpret what I'm saying, and all of these different worries that he had. And he was just asking about how can he get past those feelings of, I could get this wrong.
Hmm.
And what I was saying to him, I kind of explained my experience with, which I guess this was 2 years ago at this point, when it was during the pandemic, when I was at home with you guys. I started teaching myself Japanese,
Mm.
and what I learned from that was, like, in general, I feel like I'm a decently intelligent person.
You feel that way?
You know, you
Okay.
know, at
All
least
right.
decently intelligent.
No ego. Go ahead.
But in learning a new language, it made me feel like a baby in a new world,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm. Hmm.
It's like, okay, I don't know how to express myself to these people at all in any sort of intelligent manner.
Right.
And what I learned was, and what I had to realize is that no, you're not dumb. You're not lacking in intelligence. What you're doing is you're learning a new way to express the intelligence that you have.
That's a bar. Okay, I got you. Okay. I can't even
Right.
pick at you for that one.
And so it was this huge daunting task to me because it's like I feel like I'm seeing the world through new eyes, and I don't understand the language. I don't understand the culture. I don't understand any of these things. But it's like, when it's like, no, we're always growing every day. We're always learning new things. We're expanding. We're getting better. And it's okay to feel like a baby in a new world, because that just means, whoa, I have so much potential to grow right here.
Right.
And so if you can remove that, like, that fear of feeling like you don't know anything, wow, you can learn so much more.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so yeah, that was out of all I'm still not fluent in Japanese, but
No, sir.
that might have been the greatest lesson that I learned from my language learning experiences. Is it's okay to feel like it's okay to feel like you don't know everything. It's okay to be almost overwhelmed by how much can be learned,
Hmm.
because now you put on the glasses. You
And,
can see the world for what it is.
and there you just said it, you see the world for what it is, because though you apply what you just said to Japanese, that's how we should apply life. Because
Exactly.
honestly, we should always be in the state of becoming. One of the things I used to always tell you growing up is, if you ain't growing, you dying. You know what I'm saying? There's no such thing as staying the same. You're either growing or dying. And so if you approach life from that perspective, always wanting to get better, then you realize, man, the world is huge. There's a whole bunch of stuff I don't know. I need to be ready. I need to be a student. I need to always be a student of life. And so that's a good perspective to have.
Yeah.
And so
So,
again, I mean, back to the list of things that I was saying, and I mean, what you need to do. You need to
right, that's
be a
exactly what I was
sponge,
thinking.
man. You need to realize, first of all, I don't know everything, right?
Right.
And I'm gonna be a sponge, and I'm gonna soak up as much of everything that I can. I'm gonna chew up the fish. I'm a left side of the mouth, right side of the mouth,
Hmm.
roof of the mouth,
Really make sure that you're taking information in and, like,
taking in.
exploring it.
Right. And then if it ain't no good, throw it away. But don't discard it because it's foreign tasting. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Because it's
Right.
supposed to taste foreign. It's supposed to be something, and it's crazy. I have a activity that I do. And because I didn't create it, I'll tell you what it is. So if you want to use it, but it's what you do is you have a group of people. It's almost like an icebreaker, right? But you have a group of people and you ask them, to write with the non-dominant hand.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You ask them to write with a non-dominant hand and you go through a series of writing prompts that they do, starting from complex to getting simple to going back from simple back to complex. And then you compare the complex in the beginning versus the complex in the end. And was there some area of improvement? And then what did you learn from that process? And the thing that's amazing is how difficult it is for people to get started writing with their non-dominant hand because it's something that is so foreign to them.
Right.
And I can always quip and make jokes about it because I'm left-handed, right? And the majority of the world is right-handed. And so I'm like, look, now you feel like me. And the last time I did this, it was a young lady in the session, and I don't know for her, she said that it has always been difficult for her because she only has one arm. And so even if it wasn't her dominant, she had to make it her dominant. You know what I'm saying? And it's like if we ever focus our attention on things like that, like it's supposed to be foreign to us. That's why we want to not necessarily master it, right? But that's why we want to expose ourselves to it, because we don't ever want to get caught off guard of not being able to perform or not being able to adapt to any situation to make ourselves successful. So help me help you by being a sponge, realizing you don't know everything, and then really, even if the information is foreign, chew it up, swish it around, and then you can spit out the bones later. And you ain't even got to tell me you spit them out. I know you're going to spit them out. I mean, you're supposed to. I mean, again, and we talked about this last week. Everything somebody tells you ain't necessarily for you.
Right.
It's true, but don't
dismiss it before you spend time with it.
Right. Don't dismiss. Right. It's funny. It's the same. And you man, I don't think I've ever used this with you, but don't throw out the baby with the bathwater.
I've heard that saying before.
Right. And so it's like, don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. I ain't gonna tell you the origin of it. Look it up. It's an interesting origin. If you're listening out there and you really care to know, but the saying is, don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. Like, don't discard everything. Everything ain't useless.
Right. But yeah, I think that was good. I don't know. Did you have anything else you wanted to touch on with that?
No, I mean that's it. I mean it's just. I mean I think it took a life of its own, but at the end of the day, it's all about help me help you. Like really, if you, especially if you know you need help, let the ego go. I mean, there are people out there, man. The universe is conspiring to help you. The universe is conspiring to help you, and you don't know what that help looks like.
You don't.
You don't.
And the first thing is, we all need help, no matter what situation we're in. We all could use help because we all could be better.
Yep. And so
if you can't be better at what you're doing, that means you're supposed to be looking at something else to get better at.
Man, and there's I'm gonna see if I can look it up right quick, man. This is biblical, right? And I just want to throw it out there because it's the same concept. And if you're listening out there and you're not biblical, you'll get it anyway.
Chew up the fish, spit out the bones.
But there it is. You chew up the fish and spit out the bone. But I want to make sure I get it right because it's biblical. Okay, so it's Hebrews 13:2, and it says, "Do not forget to show hospitality to strangers, for by so doing, some people have shown hospitality to angels without knowing it." Right? And so it's like, look, man, don't. I mean, be nice to everybody. You know what I'm saying? If they ain't being nasty to you, if they're coming to help you, be nice to them because you don't know who they are, right? I mean, I may come to you and I talk about how to create alphabet soup, right? That don't mean that that's my profession. My profession could actually be a head basketball coach, for a traveling team or whatever. And you play basketball because I'm talking about alphabet soup. You discard me because all you want to hear is basketball. I'm testing you to see if you have the ability to learn. To learn. Right. And so that's the thing. We never know who who's watching us. Everything's an interview. We never know who's watching us. We never know what capacity a person is in. Or, in so doing, you may be entertaining angels unaware. There have been plenty times where I've been in a position to help people. What I'm talking to them about is totally different. But because of their demeanor and their attitude, I immediately attach them to an opportunity that I have privy to. Because they act like they were a willing vessel. They act like they were willing to get help.
All right. Yeah.
That's my closeout. You got one?
No, I thought that was good. We all need help. We just have to be open to receiving that help. And if you're open to receiving and also open to giving is huge as well, then how could you go wrong? How could you go wrong?
All right. Bum Podcast.
Bum Podcast.
Between you and me.
Between you and me. Holla.
Holla.